Alright guys, we just got back from our last mission at DECCON, which was part of Isabelle's little companion quest, if you want to call it that in this game. Nice little change of pace. That thing turned into a bloodbath pretty quickly, and I think it was actually our biggest fighting encounter so far in the game. Made a few mistakes, but I'll blame some of that on me not actually having that much experience fighting, even though we're like 10 episodes in already. Not a big component of the game so far. It was a nice play on expectations, I think, though, because we go in there with I'm the big stupid bruiser, and I need Decker knowledge. I don't have any, so like at every turn it's like I'm totally gonna blow this and it's gonna be all my fault. And then at the end it turned out that it was Isabelle's lack of social graces, despite being a great Decker, that totally blew the entire mission and turned it into a bloodbath. Granted, I could have still had certain dialogue-related skills to fix the problem, but it was still her fault. Still like her dropping the ball the most, and that was not what I expected. Especially since it was like she's gonna walk you through the whole mission, and then it's like, oh wait, she can't communicate with you properly. Now you have to fend for yourself. You're totally screwed. But then it turns out she had to fend for herself, and the tables were turned in the most great way. Let's try having a rest and see if I have another nightmare. Maybe we'll unlock more of it. You wake with a start. Once again, you're tangled in your sheets, drenched in sweat. Your throat feels like it's on fire. You can't remember what your dreams were about, not precisely, but again you feel that yearning sensation, the emptiness in your gut and in your chest. Your head throbbing, you heave yourself out of bed. Oh. There's a little update about not doing great with the whole dream thing, but no actual new details sprung to life this time, apparently. Well, I got 8 karma points when I came out of the mission, taking me to a total of 9. It's been heavily recommended that I put more points into, like, spell-related points, which is probably not a bad idea here, especially since putting 1 point into body would cost me 8 out of 9. It's like and this would cost me 7 out of 9, although close combat would be cheaper. In fact, I could put no, I can only put 1 point into either close combat or unarmed at this point, because they're both just cost enough to be a problem there. But yeah, wisdom, I'm relatively low still here. Probably not a bad idea to go into this a little bit more. Let's see, it's your chance to hit with spells and boost your resistance against attacks. That's not super encouraging in its own way, but I have to put a point into this in order to put another point into key casting at all. The next point will let me equip Stride, Quick Strike, and gives me another slot. That sounds good to me. I have to find Stride and Quick Strike, but those both sound like excellent martial arts abilities. But yeah, it's been pretty strongly recommended that by commenters that I put a few more points into spellcasting stuff, and I'm okay with that idea, because putting more points into my more physical related skills is going to be very slow progress for a while, although once my spellcasting catches up it'll be a crapshoot between multiple options that are all equally slow. Let's go on upstairs. Oh right, should I check in with... well, oh whoa, I guess I came up here anyway. Probably want to follow up with Isabelle again on what happened, then we'll move on to Gobbet. Looks like people leveled up again. Alright, so I'm going to talk to Gobbet. My whole goal here is just to sort of complete the cycle of talking to all of my companions about their backgrounds a bit, and see which side quests we spawn. If I keep spawning side quests like I did with Isabelle, I might just do all of them right now, and then continue on with contracts, and then see if more stuff related to my companions shows up later. Because doing stuff that's specific to them could do all sorts of interesting things for their future story interactions, if there's anything like other games I've played. So last time I got... Can I even click on that? Oh yeah, Spirit Control. So last time I got the one where spirits never break away in the first 2 rounds after summoning them. Granted, I don't have summons for her yet, but, you know, with time. Unless I just don't understand how to do that yet either. So my new ones I can pick is, for territoriality, I can get the Rat Totem, Destroy Spirit. Gobbet's Rat Totem invocation does 99 damage to any hostile spirit. This spell can be only used on spirits. So basically I get a spell that just obliterates a spirit with comical high damage. That's interesting. That's a anti-shaman skill, basically. Spiritualist, Rat Totem, Steel Spirit. So this is the Rat Totem tier, basically, and it's just a matter of which type of totem I want to get. This one will make the Rat Totem invocation steal control of spirits that have been summoned by enemy shamans. Note that only one spirit can be under control until rank 5 spirit control, where it increases to 2. Huh. That's a bit of a toss-up. Taking over an enemy shaman's spirit could be really handy for giving them a target to attack, and just generally making, Huh, that's interesting. There's a toss-up here, because you could take someone else's spirit for a little while, which is great for giving your opponents another target to fight and letting the spirit turn the tables, basically. But the bad thing is it presumably will change teams again after that turns are over, and it probably isn't even attackable while it's on your team, unless you maybe do certain types of AoE that have friendly fire. But in the fights I've played so far, 2 turns can completely change the tide of the fight, so that could be enough. So I think I will go for taking control. Alright, who else do we have? Isabelle. Last time we chose... I chose a skill that sticks people in place for 1 round. I haven't even had a chance to use these abilities yet that I got last time for the most part. So now I can get, for sabotage I can get Steadyshot, and for espionage I can get mark target. Steadyshot is a pistol ability, high accuracy, small amount of crit chance in 1 shot. So it's just another accurate, useful shot, like presumably like an upgraded version of aimed shot. And mark target has integrated tactical computer marks weak spots in a opponent's armor. Is0bel's marks target ability now reduces the target's armor by 1. So it makes I can make 1 enemy easier to fight, or I can just shoot them. That is a bit of a toss-up. Well, my last one slows people, so I'm gonna balance things off with getting an offensive ability, because the last one I got was something that demobilizes people. Also, frankly, reducing armor by 1 doesn't seem like a huge benefit overall. That doesn't seem super drastic, so just hurting someone probably would outdo any of the damage advantage you're getting from 1 armor, but that's my made-up math. So we did use this ability. Duncan got Beanbag, which is great, because it basically takes an enemy turn away, and only uses, I think it only used 1 AP too, which is also great, because that means he can spend half his turn destroying an enemy's entire turn. Like that. Alright. I can do Lethal Force, Mercy Kill, or Crowd Control, Subdue. So Lethal Force, Mercy Kill. Duncan gains an Assault Rifle ability that has 99% chance to hit an enemy who has less than 25% health remaining, and has +2 damage. So it's an executing ability. It's a clutch type attack that'll pretty much wipe someone out that's about to go down, versus Crowd Control. Duncan's Subdue ability has its cooldown reduced from 3 rounds to 2 rounds. I don't think I've used his Subdue ability before. I think in this case, having a clean finisher that I'm going to rely on is actually going to be really nice, so I'm going to go for Lethal Force. I like the idea, because yeah, you definitely hit spots where you have someone who is low on hit points, and you just need to make sure that the killing blow happens, and if it misses, that ruins everything. So that's actually a nice clutch ability for him. So last time we gave Gaichu active defense, so he can use 1 AP to get 2 armor and 1 dodge, which helps because he doesn't have the, I think before it said he had -2 armor, now it doesn't say that. Oh, those are the stats that happen in each level. So at level 3 he gains 1 strength, 1 willpower, 1 close combat, 1 dodge. And people generally just gain positive traits, like Duncan got 1 of practically everything, Isabelle got decking and pistol, she got, spellcasting ×2, along with all that stuff. But I think Gaichu got -2 armor for hitting level 2 last time. So that kind of armor boost is a nice offset for that. Red Samurai Shuriken. Ranged ability, quick toss. Does 12 hit points, and 1 AP damage. A range of 10. Cooldown of 2. Using half a turn... Wait, is it cost 1 AP? No, okay, so it doesn't cost 1 AP, it does 1 AP damage. It was what I thought in the first place. I had to figure out the punctuation there. There's a comma, then a period. So it does 12 hit points and 1 AP damage. It doesn't say that it has an AP cost at all. I assume it probably does, but who knows. The other one is Spit, a ghoul ability. So I'm picking between samurai and ghoul abilities here. Gaichu gains the ranged ability. Spitting infected saliva into the target's face ignores all armor. 8 damage with an additional 4 damage for 2 rounds. So an overall damage, if it all works perfectly, of 16 damage, but it takes a few turns. And a cooldown of 2 turns means you can use it pretty frequently. But this one reduces AP. I like the Shuriken ability better. This one does more damage, although not that much more damage. Well, it ignores armor, which is good, but it only does 4 more damage in the long run, aside from the armor ignoring part. And this one I like a lot because it does AP damage, and I think having a lot of AP damage in my party will actually be super useful overall, because it means your opponents just lose actions on a regular basis. Especially these AP moves that only use half my turn. Use half my turn to remove half or all of their turn, and then also still get to do a thing that turn. That's pretty good. Alright, Isabelle, any follow-up? Isabelle half turns away from the octopus's main display. She looks up at you, blinking. The memory stick that you acquired from Rhombus has already been slotted into one of the computer's many expansion ports. The cherry red plastic that sheaths the stick looks slick and wet in the light. You did good back there. The run went well. Her eyes flit down, not to the memory stick. We got the stick. The key to my old memories. All I have to do now is slot it. You haven't unlocked your old memories yet? No, not yet. I mean, I can. It'd be as simple as plugging myself in and tapping a key. My old memories are all mine if I want them. But you're not sure that you want them. She nods. That's about the shape of it. I'm feeling hesitant about this. It isn't easy, you know. Shifting organic memories into headwear storage, wiping the originals, and locking them away for safekeeping. That's corporate level mind sculpting, serious business. So locking the files away was important to you. I got that. Very important. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have let an amateur tinker with my brain in the corner of a derelict shopping mall. Whatever I've got there, I was desperate to get rid of it. Makes a girl wonder why. Almost like you should have left a note for yourself to explain in a spoiler-free way, perhaps, why, some way that you'd understand of why you don't want them or something. Tell me, Isabelle, would it have been easier for you to have Rhombus just wipe the memories altogether? She blinks. Yes, much easier. Still, not without risk, but you didn't do that. You had to move the memories into storage. Why? There's a long pause. Because I knew that one day, I might need them. So why are we talking about this? You've made this decision twice already. Once when you had the memories moved into storage, and again when you took us on a run to get the key. Yeah, you're right. I've already decided what to do. I'm just dragging my feet because I'm afraid. You shouldn't let your fear decide for you. Acknowledge it and move on. Another long pause. Isabelle stares at her feet, thinking. Finally, she looks back up at you. You're right, I know that. I knew it before we went in to get the code. I just needed to talk about it with someone. Not Gobbet, someone who can take the situation seriously. I need to talk about it with you. Glad to be of help. Without another word, she pulls a cable from a pile on the floor and slots it into the data jack. The other end disappears into one of the octopus's many brains. Her fingers fly across the octopus's keyboard, rattling off a series of audible clicks. Finally, her thumb hovers over the execute key. Alright, handyman, wish me luck. The key depresses with an audible click. Isabelle's eyes flutter and her cheeks flush with blood. Oh no. She starts shaking her head from side to side, wringing her hands. A progress bar on the octopus's auxiliary monitor slowly climbs. Oh, fuck. What's happening, Isabelle? Are you okay? The progress bar climbs to 100. Isabelle snatches the cable back out of her data jack and covers her eyes with her hands. She's shivering. She clutches her temples in the palms of her hands. Now I remember why I didn't want these anymore. These are your memories, Isabelle. You can handle them. Not like this, I can't. There are years of bad memories all let out of the box at once. It's too overwhelming. It's horrible. And I want to stop. I can remember these things that happened to friends of mine, to relatives, things that I watched happen. No. It's okay, Isabelle. Breathe. They're just memories. They can't hurt you. Not more than they already have. Yes, they can. Her voice is ragged, raw. These memories are crystal clear. It's like all of this shit happened yesterday. I can remember watching friends die, and I can see their screaming faces just as clearly as I did that day that happened. It's like watching a trid show, but it's my life, and it's real. Isabelle, focus. Is there anything that can help us? She screws her eyes shut in concentration, beads of sweat hanging heavy on her brow. I think so, yes. It'll take time for me to sift through all this. She opens her eyes again, looks up at you. I'll hold on to these memories for as long as I can. Hopefully long enough to reveal something useful. No promises beyond that, though. Thank you, Isabelle. Don't thank me yet. I could still crack in half an hour and lock away the files. She gives you a weak half smile. Gonna do my best not to, though. One thing that does jump out at me. Romp has archived some software up here. She taps her temple with the fingernail. I'm sitting on top of the memories, all wrapped up like a present. Don't know why he did it, but it looks like a combat package. Why would he have done that? Beats the hell out of me. But he put it in here when he locked the memories away, so maybe he was trying to stash it. Or maybe he knew I'd need it one day. It's a basic attack modification, I think. I'm gonna have to study to be sure, but I think I can use it. Well, there's some good news. Yeah, it's all very exciting, but for now, just give me some space, okay? She turns away, shivering. Like I said, it's gonna take time for me to make sense of all this stuff. I'll give you some space then. She waves you away. Good, go, now. Alright, let's give her a little space then. I'm curious. We have dialogue for last missions, right? So can I talk to Duncan about the mission I just did on Isabelle, or is that just main missions? You enter Will's cabin to find him moving through some sort of stretching routine. His muscles ripple as he flows tranquilly from one pose to the next. You look different, Grotto. I look older, right? Yeah. Like I flipped through a few chapters instead of turning a page. I mean, you look like you, just not the you I knew. Sounds like song lyrics. Wu chuckles. No more song lyrics from me. I gave up that dream a long time ago. Remember how Lockjaw used to make fun of my singing voice? He smiles. His teeth are perfect. I feel like we say that a lot. He said I sound like a frog with a heart on. Jesus. he shrugs. I thought my voice was distinctive. I mean, no Maria Mercurial, but... So what about you? He gives you a once-over. How are you doing? About how you'd expect. Been better. Well, I gotta tell you, you're good at running this crew, Grotto. But there's something I don't completely understand. He picked up an ammo box and begins using it like a dumbbell. What do you get out of being a Shadowrunner? I can say freedom, I'm not a cog in the corporate machine. Money, there's no way I could ever earn this much in a straight job. Thrill, keeps me firmly in the moment, I feel alive. I get to hurt people for money. It's about seeing the world how it really is, underneath a veneer. Or I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. I actually like that one. It's about seeing the world how it really is, underneath the veneer. Most people don't want to know how the sausage is made. Shit, it's fucked up bad. You can see it right there from the outside. You need to look beneath the casing to see what's inside. You're not gonna like it. And even if you're the type that needs to know, the type that just can't help but look into the abyss, what do you get out of it? Odds are you get nothing but a much shorter lifespan. The trade-off doesn't seem that worth it to me, and at the end of the day, what are you? A Shadowrunner. A disposable asset, sinless, slithering through the cracks of society, doing jobs that are too dirty for the Cord to do themselves. You don't even appear on a corporate balance sheet. I call my own shots, take the jobs I want. From the Chinese menu that kindly Cheng puts in front of us, yeah. And we can leave any time we want, right? He gives you a lopsided grin. Forget it. Doesn't matter. This is about finding out what happened to Raymond. Moo watches you, waiting for you to say something. Here's what I came here for. What do you think about the last run? That was the first convention I've ever been to. Heard about him, but I'd never been to one. He shakes his head. Some people have too much time on their hands. Anyway, we got Isabelle her software, or encryption key, or whatever the hell it was she wanted. I don't know, Grotto, somehow I came out of this feeling like a neighborhood bully shaking down a skinny kid for his lunch. But if it can help us, well, whatever. Anyway, enough about that. Need anything else? Let's talk later. Sure, you know where you can find me. Right by the fishy smell. Want to check in on him about the last run. So that's confirming that these side quests also show up as talking about the last run. It's not just main quests. Good to know. Is Isabelle any more talkative? I need some time to myself, handyman. We've talked enough for now, anyway. I just thought I might talk about the last run if she was up for that, but nope. Alright. I guess we kind of talked about the last run by doing all that. Alright, Gobbet, I almost came to you last time, but, you know, convention called, apparently. But we're back. Gobbet's nest is pretty much what you'd expect. Piles of clothes on the ground, an overflowing garbage bin surrounded by stacks of instant noodle packets, and towers of tinned oysters. Avant-garde posters haphazardly thumbtacked to the walls, overlapping in some places and peeling in others. Feels a lot like an old art school dorm room. Gobbet reclines in a corner, cradling a bowl of soup in her hands. At her feet, a cast iron pot simmers away on an electric hot plate. The contents are typical Hong Kong comfort food: chicken-style soya broth, elbow macaroni, tinned ham, and a heaping scoop of egg-flavored mycoprotein. As you wind your way through the piles of dirty laundry, Gobbet slowly lifts her head from her bowl to acknowledge you. Hey, Seattle. She chews on the words along with a mouthful of cheap pasta. A corner of her mouth curls into a half smile. How's tricks? I think they explicitly and exclusively describe smiles as half smiles and lopsided grins. How's tricks? All right. My entire life just got erased by the cops. Just got erased and the cops want me dead. I'm doing great. You? Oh, everything's just ducky over here. My friends are dead. I'm on my boss's shit list because of it, and I can't even get a bowl of soup in peace. She skims an oily slab of faux ham onto the top of her soup and plops it in her mouth, chewing thoughtfully. She looks back at you with a smile. So it's all good, Seattle. I'm happy as a clam, just like you are. Now, you want to tell me what you're doing in my bedroom? I assume you're not here to admire the view. How'd you decide on the name Gobbet, anyway? I didn't. She pops a noodle on her mouth and claws and chews. My mom did. So you're not using a street name? Isn't that dangerous for a Shadowrunner? Nah, not really. I'm sinless. There's no electronic record of a girl named Gobbet even existing. The only thing that really could threaten me would be, say, the HKPF attaching an APB to whatever file they have on me. That would be terrifying. Glad that you're keeping a sense of humor about it. Yeah, well, if you can't laugh about it, what do you laugh about? Any nightmares lately? Like bad ones? Her jaw stops working mid-chew. Slowly she nods. Yeah, I have. We all have. Everyone in town. Me too. And Isabelle. We both just had the same nightmare. Let me guess, you saw the walled city? And a black whirlpool and teeth. Thousands and thousands of teeth. She holds up a hand. You don't need to answer. I already know that I'm right because I just saw the same dream. Creepy, I know. Her voice goes quiet. The dreams are coming from inside the walled city, I'm sure of it, but all these negative energy pent up there. All that pain and anger and poisonous key, it's leaking out. And while we sleep, it's getting to us. You think this is a magical phenomenon, then? Yeah, I think it is. Want my personal opinion? The walled city is cursed, deep down. I think that everyone knows it, and we live in its shadow. It's bound to mess with your head, you know? And it is. They're just dreams, and it's not like they can hurt us, right? Who says they can't? She tries on a smile, fails, does her best to laugh it off. Don't worry, Seattle, we're fine here, but let's talk about something else, huh? I don't like thinking about the walled city very much. Too many old fears and bad feelings. If you're up for talking about it, I wanted to go over the ambush at the docks with you. Yeah? She nods slowly, frowning. Yeah, I figured you would. That was a hell of a thing, right? I'd go a little further than that. It was a clusterfuck of epic proportions. She nods. Yeah, that it was. Nightjar and Gutshaw were two of my strongest men I've ever known. Quality Shadowrunners, both of them. I watched the two of them fight through situations that'd kill anyone, come out on top. And how did they get out? She smiles, holding a rifle, making a show of peering down its scope. Bang bang, dead, no blaze of glory, no final speech, just extinguished, smashed like bugs. We would have gone the same way if you hadn't gotten us out of there. She absentmindedly raises her bowl to the shoulder. A rat crawls over the slope of her back and lowers its head on top of to lap at the broth. It was more rat than me. She's the one who grabbed me by the gut and led us to the sewer entrance. All I did was follow. I'd like to learn more about Rat. What kind of totem is she? She slurps thoughtfully at the soup. A clever one. She's got me out of more trouble than I can care to mention. Got me into it a fair amount of it too. But I can always count on her to lead me out of hot water when I need her. I can feel it in my belly, you know, sort of a tugging sensation. I've long since learned to follow it. I wasn't aware that totems took such direct control of their shamans. Usually they don't. Me and Rat, we have sort of a special bond. She takes care of me, and I've always done my best to take care of her. Another pair of beady eyes blinks up from the gobbet's hip. A second rat scurries under her shoulder to join the first. And to pamper her earthly children, like these two. Meet Madness and Folly. Oh, those are interesting choice of names. I like the way they sound, Madness and Folly. Has a nice ring to it, right? She brushes her fingers across the white rat's mottled coat. My girls remind me not to take myself too seriously. I wouldn't trust Folly, though. She bites. You seem pretty comfortable with this all. Been running in the shadows for a while? She dips her chin. A long time. Started when I was just a kid. Yeah? I gather you've seen a lot of action, then. She rolls her shoulders. Plenty. Been in more firefights than I can count. You're pretty new at this, you and Duncan both. It shows. She takes a moment to study you. Slowly, her mouth tilts with a smirk. What you need is a wise mentor, an experienced runner with whose experience you can benefit. I'm thinking that might as well be me. Wizened. Sure, why not? I could use the advice. I don't see Isabelle volunteering for the job anytime soon. You're in? Good. Starting the next time you visit, I'm going to teach you about being a Shadowrunner. She stifles a yawn. You're going to benefit from my bountiful experience. Wait and see. Lucky me. Gobbet stretches, stifles a yawn. Her rats scurry from her shoulders down her hips. She taps the simmering pot on the floor with her boot. The soup inside is reduced down to a thick, viscous gravy. You know, Seattle, this has been a nice chat and all, but it's getting late. I still have the rest of a hot pot to power through. So without wanting to get this to be awkward, she glanced out the door. I was going to talk about last run. I could help you with that if you wanted. Thanks, but no thanks. Smirking, she brushes Folly's coat with the knuckles of her left hand. You can get your own food now it'd be a good time. Alright, I'll get it. Talk to you later, Gobbet. Yeah, we'll do that. It'll be fun. There's like a built-in pacing system for this game where if you talk to people for too long, they basically just kick you out at fixed intervals of some sort. Alright, well, let's go find the samurai. He must be down here, right? In this back room or something? There he is. Hi, Gaichu. How do you like your new neighbor? You getting along well? The storage room that functions as Gaichu's cabin is a cramped, overheated mess. Piles of old ship parts share space with tarnished cookware. Flats of instant noodles, a collection of cast-off clothes, and reams of diagnostic manuals for obsolete computer hardware. To top it all off, there's barely any light whatsoever. All the bulbs in this room are missing. Gaichu is busily moving boxes around, apparently in an effort to carve out some personal space amid the junk that he shares the cabin with. As you enter, he cocks his head and turns around.
Welcome to my sanctuary, handyman. I apologize for the lack of light, but as I did not need it, Gobbet took the bulbs out to use elsewhere.
Gaichu puts his box down that he's in the process of moving and politely bows his head towards you.
How may I be of assistance?
Just wanted to see how you're settling in. Gaichu rolls his shoulders in a defiant shrug.
I live. I am among those who can make use of my services and who are not attempting to claim the bounty on my head. Is that not enough for now?
Any thoughts on the last run?
I am not certain what insight I could grant you. I was not present for that mission, so my understanding of it is purely second-hand. Is there anything else I can do for you?
I need to talk to you about your condition, being a ghoul. Gaichu inclines his head.
As you wish, you are my benefactor, and as such I yield to you. Ask then, I will do my best to answer.
Aside from being blind, how has it affected you?
Aside from my heightened senses of smell and hearing, I am stronger, tougher, and more resilient than a mundane human. I can achieve feats of physicality that are normally restricted to adepts, and those with extensive enhancements.
Hey, get out of my territory, buddy. Gaichu lifts one hand, fingers crooked to show off his elongated nails, claws really.
These, as well. As sharp as any small knife, I prefer my sword, but in a grapple they come in extremely handy.
He draws one nail over the surface of his shoulder plates. A hair-fine spiral of armor peels off in the nail's wake. So he can cut metal, assuming he's got metal armor. Maybe wood armor? Some samurai, probably metal. Do you need to sleep? Gaichu chuckles, his laughter rasping out over his lips.
Unfortunately, I do. I am not an undead creature of legend. If I manage to unlock the secret of rest without sleep, I will be certain to inform you.
I thought ghouls were all animalistic predators.
Most are. In fact, majority of cases, the infected become the crazed predators everyone sees on the nightly Trid news.
Gaichu bared his jagged teeth, running a tongue across the tips of them as he tilts his head back.
I bear the physical signs, but not the mental ones. A few escape that fate.
I think he's basically... Yeah, we're following basically the same rules as ghouls from Fallout. Same name and everything. Interesting.
There are others, though. In Africa, there is a nation of ghouls called Asamando. The intelligent ghouls of Asamando care for the ones whose higher faculties have been ravaged by the disease. Still, it is not a safe place to visit.
You're lucky to have your mind.
Am I? I suppose luck has something to do with it, but so does will. Those with a strong enough sense of self, a chip on their shoulder, so to speak, are always those that survive the infection with the minds intact.
It seems your condition has stabilized.
For now, it has. I will not suddenly become a ravenous beast lurking on hold of your ship. At least no more so than I already am.
Gaichu bares his teeth in a wry grin, dipping his head a little.
Why'd you pick the name Gaichu anyway? It was given to me. This was the Japanese call for ghouls. For the most part, I am a vermin, a thug, a thing shining by polite
got all the words wrong there.
A thing shunned by polite society to be hunted and slain for a bounty. My old life is gone. It seems an apt name for the streets as any other that I could choose.
I like the attitude. It turns the tables of power. Gaichu dips his head in agreement.
One does not defeat the enemy solely by strength of arms. One must also turns one weakness into strength. It is an old and valuable lesson too often forgotten.
Your armor's heavier than what most Shadowrunners wear, and more distinctive too. Gaichu nods, growling his assent.
That is correct. It is the armor worn by elite soldiers of the Renraku corporate military, the Red Samurai.
If I had corporate etiquette, I could say those are Renraku special forces, aren't they? It's kind of what he already said, basically, but oh well. What are the Red Samurai?
The Renraku Military Special Operations Division, the most elite of the corporation, has to offer. On the par with the Eris Firewatch or Tyr Terngaia's Ghosts, Red Samurai are world-class soldiers assigned to only the most difficult and important missions.
So I can ask how he managed to steal a sort of armor. That's probably not true though. It might be his armor. He's probably just a Red Samurai that became a ghoul. That armor's a rare thing for a Shadowrunner to have.
That is true. It is considerably less rare for a Red Samurai to have a suit of it, however, even if he goes rogue.
So you were a Red Samurai?
Indeed. For the entirety of my adult life, I was a member of the Renraku military, specifically the Red Samurai. That changed relatively recently. I feel the reasons are abundantly clear. Hence, I still possess my armor, my sword, my training. They have served me well in both my previous life and in this one.
How'd you end up in Hong Kong?
I was searching for a cure. I needed a place where I could disappear into the shadows, find work, and evade capture if a cure did not materialize. The Yamato Act meant that it was even more dangerous to be in Japan than anywhere else.
Gaichu smiles thinly, leaning back on his heels.
I went to China primarily because I still hoped to be able to return home. It felt less final if I fled to somewhere nearby. I went first to Shanghai, but Renraku's presence there is significantly more robust than Hong Kong. I learned that my previous unit had not stopped hunting me after I left Japan, so I decided to move further afield.
Gaichu unfurls his hands, claws pointing towards the ceiling.
Hence, Hong Kong. Where else could anyone arrive and disappear without the city caring one whit?
Seattle comes to mind.
If Renraku were not building that towering archaeology to dominate the skyline, I would agree with you. Since it clearly has some kind of influence in the city, it seems unwise to make my residence there.
Gaichu runs his nails over his chin.
Besides, I have always liked Hong Kong. It has more character than the UCAS. Since arriving here, I've drifted between neighborhoods, selling my services to those who are unafraid of my appearance and condition.
Gaichu frowns deeply.
It has not been as profitable as I hoped.
Interesting that he keeps running his nails everywhere after he had just destroyed his armor with it. Like it's not a big deal. How'd you end up running the shadows? Gaichu rasps out a coughing laugh that reverberates through the cramped room.
What other employment is appropriate for a cannibal whose previous experience is in military operations? There are not many things I know how to do. This is one of them.
You weren't always a ghoul, though.
In theory. Red Samurai who are wounded are given the best in medical treatment and cybernetics. If these are insufficient to return them to active duty, they are given a pension and retired. In practice, this is never the case. Red Samurai teams do everything together. Eat, sleep, train, play. We learn to think for each other, move as a single entity. When part of that team is broken, it affects everyone.
Gaichu runs his claws over his scalp, sighing.
The other members of the unit would be distracted, thinking about a wounded comrade, and would resent a new member for usurping the old member's place. So the wounded invariably takes the same course of action. For the good of the team. Ritual suicide. Seppuku.
I can understand the logic behind that.
Can you? There are more you are more open-minded than most who learn of the practice. Most believe it to be an excessive and anachronistic, but it has served the Red Samurai well for the most part. In my case, I became infected while in a sabotage mission against Shiawaze in Osaka. The unit was exfiltrating on foot from Naniwa Ward, through the Aaron-Shiku slums. We had not anticipated a ghoul nest en route. My surprise got the better of me and I was bitten. Understand that since the passage of the Yamato Act, Japan is a pure country. Metahumans are deported, and to be infected with HMHVV to be less than an animal. Oh, and to be infected with HMHVV is to be less than an animal. You will be killed on sight. Since this was, in effect, the same as being permanently crippled in the eyes of the team, it was expected that I would kill myself.
So why didn't you?
Because I was still capable of fighting. I questioned the necessity of suicide. Why should I die if I was still effective as before? Was I not worth having simply because my diet changed? One does not discard a quality tool simply because the surface is stained. I made the decision to leave the unit. I made the decision to leave while the unit was allowing me time to prepare for my expected suicide. I took nothing but my weapons, armor, and a small number of personal mementos. I knew the unit would hunt me down and kill me. Ghouls are considered vermin in Japan. To have a red samurai become one was to refuse to die. And refuse to die? Unconscionable.
How long did it take them to find you?
They found me 2 weeks after I ran. I was careless as I fled south, and they caught up with me in Fukuoka. I escaped barely. But it was at that point I decided that I should leave Japan. I knew they would not stop hunting me, but I could make that more difficult for them.
Did you grow up in a corporation?
Yes, in Kayashin, the Kyoto-Osaka Kobe sprawl. It is less populated than Neo-Tokyo, but not by much. I grew up in eastern Kobe where my father was posted in Renraku Complex.
Gaichu roosts around in the nearby box, running his fingertips over several chips before deciding on one. He slots it into PDA, and a TRID photo flickers into life in the space between you. A young man, obviously Gaichu, leans against a railing which overlooks a sprawling harbor complex of skyscrapers and cranes. His school uniform is ripped, and beginnings of a black eye are forming. Abrasions cover his knuckles, and blood dots his pants. Despite this, he's grinning like he's just won the lottery, vibrant, fierce.
You look like you haven't changed much. How do you mean? I am unable to see which picture is being displayed.
You look like you got in a fight.
Ah, that must be Mount Maya. If I remember right, I gave better than I got that fight, 3 against 1, but they were out of shape and cocky. I used to cause a lot of trouble when I was in school. My father was constantly raging that I had no sense of responsibility and that I needed to take my life more seriously.
A cackle erupts from Gaichu, suddenly mirth spreading across his face.
The final straw was that he bailed me out of jail.
I've been in jail a few times. What'd you do?
My friends and I stole a delivery van. I had a shipment of Shawase Simsense decks. Brand new, very expensive. We were going to fence them and use the money to take a trip to Okinawa.
My mother actually lived in Okinawa as a kid. Gaichu pauses, cocking his head.
Are you familiar with what it's like to grow up in a corporate family?
Not a clue.
You have to understand. Children are trained to hate rival corporations. We did not regard theft of Shawase goods as illegal. We were simply doing our part to ensure Renraku's supremacy. This kind of behavior is ignored and even tacitly encouraged by company media. Unfortunately, we were caught by Shawase security, not Renraku.
You think your father approved, even secretly?
I doubt that very much. For him, the activity was not the issue. It was that I got caught and embarrassed both the company and him. He is very much a man who believes that there is a proper way to do things, and I had once again cut corners.
What did your father do next? Gaichu clicks his tongue a few times. He seems reluctant to continue.
That is a story for another time, unfortunately. I still have a lot of arranging to do, and I doubt anyone else will be willing to be alone with me in a darkened room. Come back later. We can discuss it further.
Okay, if that's what you want. Gaichu bows politely.
It is, and thank you for your hospitality.
I'm getting kicked out of everyone's rooms. Oh, it's his stuff. Gaichi's box of personal effects is overflowing with a collection of souvenirs, mementos, and knickknacks. There is no rhyme or reason to the collection of items. They appear to have been thrown in haphazardly, probably because he's blind. Laying atop the box are a couple of antique Japanese coins, inside an overturned wooden mask, and a black lacquered box of gold inlay. Oh, he's trying to talk to me about the stuff. Oops. Thought I was just going to move on. Gaichu cocks his head, sniffing the air in your direction.
Ah, I see you found my box of personal effects. Please feel free to examine whatever you like within it. Just take care to put them back when you are done. I do not own much, but the things I keep are very precious to me. They are all that remains of my former life.
Let's look at the wooden mask. The wooden mask is extremely light. It's been painted a pale white, and the surface is almost as smooth as porcelain. Although it lacks the sheen of lacquer, the face's traits are delicate, almost feminine, and feature lifted eyebrows, bright red lips, and delicately carved teeth. The teeth have been stained in a deep black, barely visible past the slightly parted lips. The expression, while kindly, is ambiguous and uncanny. Viewed from above, the expression is one of calm contentment. Shifting the mask to view at an upward angle causes the expression to seem melancholy, almost pained. What's this wooden mask, Gaichu?
It is a mask from the historical No play Ikuta Atsumori. The face is that of a young samurai, Taira no Atsumori.
Gaichu faces your direction, gesturing towards the mask.
I had a collection of a dozen or so No masks when I was younger. That is the last remaining one, and my personal favorite.
What's the difference between a normal play and a No?
No actors wear these masks to cover their faces. The angle they hold themselves at changes the expression of the mask, so the acting is highly rigid and controlled. The entire performance is highly ritualized. There is no measure of improvisation allowed, only a refinement of the prescribed form.
Almost like geisha-like activity. Gaichu folds his arms over his chest, dipping his chin in thought.
The words are sung.
Oh, like an opera. Oh, I was about to say that.
Like a Western opera, and accompanied by a set of musicians known as a hayashi. The hayashi keeps time with several drums, a flute, and a chorus in the Greek theatrical sense, I mean. Unfortunately, no is an unpopular art in modern times. I expect this is because all of the plays are conducted in classical Japanese, which is not comprehensible in the generic public. Which is not comprehensible to the generic public. I have heard the creators of No, a father and son in the 14th century, took inspiration from magical rituals at Shinto shrines. It is said that by placing masks upon the face, the actors become possessed by the spirit of the character they play. There are worse fates, I think, than to embody the spirit of a tragic warrior like Atsumori.
You have a favorite? Gaichu smiles, expression distant.
A measure of civic pride, I suppose, and I like the story. Taira no Atsumori died at the Battle of Ichinotani, just outside of Kobe. The play takes place primarily at the Ikuta Shrine, which is located in downtown Kobe. In old cities in Japan, especially in Kaihanshin, I have always felt there's a sense of history wherever one looks. The skyline may have skyscrapers and delivery drones, and the foundations are laid on the bones of the dead.
Gaichu shrugs, folding his arms across his chest.
I think it is important to remember their sacrifices and joys, sorrows and glories.
Gaichu laughs, suddenly shaking his head.
That is why I sometimes worry I am a sentimentalist at heart.
And what's the play about?
A young man travels with the priest who raised him to Ikuta Shrine to commune with the spirits of his father, Taira no Atsumori. The young man's father died in the Battle of Ichinotani when the son was only a baby, and he wishes to know who his father was. The pair stay the night in a small hut. In the night, the hermit in the hut explains that he is the ghost of Atsumori. Atsumori has been granted a brief reprieve from his time in the afterlife to meet his son. During the night, they speak of the battle in which Atsumori was killed, the history of the Taira family, and their philosophy. Atsumori fades into darkness as he finishes the tale, of Tyrus's downfall, just as the family itself faded into obscurity. So think we, yet oh, that we might change this fragile dream of joy into the lasting love of waking life, says Atsumori before fading. It is the tale of sorrow, love, and the burden of war, upon the dead and living alike. The price one pays for war is not always in one's own blood, but in the shattering of one's own family.
Put the mask back, and let's head out. I'll look at the other object later. I've lingered on Gaichu long enough, and my stupid made-up voice that's probably not even worth doing in the first place is actually starting to drain on me. And after almost an hour of being in this thing, let's try to actually go somewhere. Your workstation and mission computer. The cool blue tones of the workstation's main menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right corner notifies you of 7 unread messages. Let's see, jobs directory. Do I get... I don't think oh yeah, there probably wasn't a payment for the last job because it was just from my crew member inbox. Well, this one's literally called Urgent Task. Seems urgent. From Kylie Cheng to the handyman, Urgent Task. Little birds have been whispering in my ear about an urgent and high-paying run. Steelarm Lou, a red Pole, managed to get his hands on information concerning a prototype laser weapon in development by Ares Asia Holdings. For years, the Yellow Lotus and the Red Dragon have been locked in a cold war. Despite this, we remain evenly matched. Neither one of us can attack the other without being exposed to devastating reprisals. Lou wants to change this and he has a plan. Rather than strike directly, Lou intends to aim external forces at the Red Dragon, specifically Knight Errant. He intends to frame a white paper fan named Golden Fong, making it appear that the Red Dragon have been bribing Ares researchers for classified data. 2 leading drone and energy weapon researchers have recently transferred to London, from London to Hong Kong, and are running the project. Doctors Taylor and Hardingham. I've actually never seen doctor pluraled that way. The abbreviation pluraled that way. Were respected in Europe, but in Hong Kong they remain unknown quantities. They're untrusted and therefore are considered untrustworthy. Perfect targets, in other words. We will provide data that will make it look as if the researchers were contacted by Golden Fong and made quite a bit of money, but grew tired of the arrangement. Transfer the attached files to a data chip. The files are bundled with a worm program which will auto-execute when inserted into the appropriate systems. You need not bring a Decker, though one might be helpful. You will need to plant data in the visitor record system, the camera systems in Hardingham and Taylor's lab. Financial data to be transferred to Dr. Taylor's personal terminal. That in and of itself will not be enough to ensure Knight Errant involvement, however. Planting the data is only the first part of your task. This is where the heavier touch is required. You will need to steal the prototype laser weapon. There is a GPS tracking device attached to it, which Lou will plant deep in the Red Dragon territory. The apparent theft of a prototype weapon by a disgruntled Triad member should convince Ares to dispatch overwhelming force against the Red Dragon, dealing them a vicious blow. As a note, Lou does not care what happens to what becomes the laser weapon. If you wish to sell it or keep it, feel free. So we're not even trying to use the laser weapon, we just want to take it away from them. I have also attached a map of your extraction route from the building. During the facility's expansion in 2052, Ares Asia was forced to extend their foundations deeper into the land. They drove piles through the former site of the central MTR station, which partially collapsed during the Dalu Bay earthquake of 2044. Practically, this means that you can exit through the basement directly onto the MTR line through Central. With any luck, you can be gone without anyone knowing how. Unfortunately, this route is heavily armored, so you'll be forced to go up to the front door. If you can con the front desk, you should have no problems. The facility is both an office and a residence, so strange people coming out and going at odd hours is not unusual. If you're not up to the task, however, be prepared to shoot your way in. Lou does not care if you are loud or quiet, but a word of caution. He came by all this information via the loose lips of one of the research team. Other fixers know of this job. Move fast and you are guaranteed success, but there are definitely other Shadowrunners with an eye on the prize. Take the run. Very well. Steel Arm Lou sends his regards and bids you good fortune and plentiful ammunition. The dramatic git. Don't die, handyman. Our arrangement has been very profitable so far, and I would hate to lose that. Is that true? I've only done one mission for you so far, and that was the one where I killed everyone that you sent me to do the mission on. It's kind of like how my brother's saying I'm really good at doing this job, but so far I haven't necessarily shown that. Let's not read threads. I've been in this ship for about an hour now. Let's go do something. Yeah. My episodes are only going to get longer in this series, probably. Just because it's so easy to get... There's so much to do than just read. The funny thing is, it's actually not that long of a game. It's just the stuff that normally feels like side content or lore and world building is basically the game. I want to check with Spider Shen to see if he can sell me any more powerful spells, because I now have more ability to use them. Shen is busily engaged in conversation with someone on the other end of a video call. The other individual appears to be a tremendously handsome elf wearing an immaculate and undoubtedly pricey custom suit. Shen doesn't appear to notice you. I'm just saying, if the customs officer gives me any more crap about the importing of the tiger snakes, I'm going to go up a creek without a paddle. Handsome elf. The elf nods, tilting his head back with a mischievous grin. Leave it to me. I have some friends in the customs house. Between that and the shoddy record keeping, I'm certain I can get your snakes out of quarantine. It'll take a day, maybe two. If it takes longer than that, it's because someone specifically doesn't like you. At long last, Shen seems to notice you. Hold on, Yang, I'll call you back. I've got a customer here. Putting down the comlink, Shen bows. Hello again, what can Spider Shen do for you today? Getting some new pets in? Shen frowns dully. They're not pets, they're an investment. I can make anti-venom serums from them, or I can use the raw venom to accomplish tasks that would otherwise be too messy and loud. You do wet work for Yellow Lotus. When the situation demands it. Normally, I work for Grandfather Woe exclusively. Sometimes, though, he asks me to do someone else a favor. Shen produces a needle from below the boat's table, casually flicking it off to the side. Glancing over, you see that it's embedded halfway into a metal crate. I solve problems. I never know what the problem will be, so I have an array of tools at my disposal. You're also a show-off. Every time I come over here, you're like punching a hole in something or like perfectly piercing a needle through metal. Like, you could just talk like a normal person without being like, look how much of a superhero I am. I'm the super monk. Show off. It's like this. Yes, I can hurt people, but I can also heal them. I learned to heal with my medicine before I learned to hurt. When you learn how the body works, you can learn how to break it as well as fix it. It's a mechanic in a car. It's like a mechanic in a car engine. If you know how to fix it, you know how to disable it. Who's the elf? He's my lawyer, Yang. Our lawyer, I should say. He's another Blue Lantern, and is part of the same crew. Shen lifts a thin Chinese sword, turning it over so that the light glitters off the edge. I don't do a lot of things that are legal in the strictest sense. It helps to have a good lawyer, you know? For most Shadowrunners, getting caught is the end of their career. Well, see? There you go. If you had a good lawyer, that wouldn't be a problem. Shen grins, chin tilted upward. Saves you a world of trouble, man. World of trouble, man. Most of the time, caught means dead for us. Shen is unmoved by this information. Well, then your lawyer can make sure your inheritance goes to the right people, eh? This one time, we had to cause a big fuss and make sure that it pointed to the Red Dragon Syndicate. We ran into this protection rackets and started causing all sorts of fuss. Breaking windows, setting fires, roughing up patrons. Yang told us to wait and get arrested. Problem was, there was a vice squad that really wanted us caught and thrown in jail. We'd embarrassed them a few times already. Shen chuckles quietly. Turns out he's using a Decker to contact. He'd used a Decker contract to make sure that to swap a bunch of public records so that the traffic cameras would go... I'm sorry, this whole paragraph. Turns out he'd used a Decker contract to make sure to swap a bunch of public records so that traffic cameras would conclusively show us somewhere else and arriving at the last minute.
He also made sure the Vice Squad that arrested us was cited for failing to file proper paperwork on a bunch of previous cases. The squad got canned, we got let go, it was a thing of beauty.
Show me what you got. Ugh. I almost need to stop doing such long episodes because it actually wears on my voice to even try to talk for this long, non-stop reading. Let's see. I already own... Oh, Mystic Armor. Keycasting 6. These are expensive. Oh, I only have 1,400 new yen? Oh, I must have already spent it last time. There's Counter-Strike. That's good to know about. It's the adept ends their turn but will counterattack with their current weapon when attacked. 3 counterattacks per turn. Ooh. So I can go into an area and just be ready to use that, and I'll just counterattack 3 times in a row. Huh. Quick Strike. Also should have the ability to cast that one. Yeah, 4 and... Oh, I only have 4. Lit 5's next. Adept gains a 0 AP cost attack that does 8 damage to the target. Pierces up to 2 armor. Shares a cooldown with Lightning Strike. So it has a cooldown of 2 turns. Does decent damage, but it has no AP cost, so it's like an extra attack. That must be why that shuriken from earlier this episode didn't have a listed AP cost, I assume? Because it must have been some kind of quick attack like that. Stride's the other one I gain access to. The adept's movement speed is increased by 2 as a passive. Wow. Active, movement increased by a further 2 for 3 rounds. I want those skills, but I'll need to be able to afford them first, which is harder. What can I sell? Well, I don't need this crappy equipment. No reason to sell this other stuff, though. Those are old spells and grenades and stuff. Shock gloves. Yeah, I don't want to sell any. I'll just sell the armor I won't be using anymore for a tiny profit. See you later, Shen. Long conversation with Shen, and I didn't even get to get what I wanted. I should have checked to see if I had money first. That was my bad. I guess I'm just in the mindset of like, I just did a mission, I must have money, but you don't really get money for helping Isabelle. Unless I check the wrong part of the computer. I may have lost track of what part of the computer pays you again, because I've done that before. Anyway, let's get to the MTR station, and we'll get started on this mission that I just adopted. Well, let's get the setup done this episode. Head to the Ares facility to incite a conflict between Knight Errant and the Red Dragon Syndicate. They said a Decker would help. How many people can I bring? Ooh, 3. Alright. Just wanted to make sure how many. So, Isabelle, I want to bring... The Shaman's resourceful, I think. And out of this crew, my choice is melee character and ranged character. Red Samurai versus Security Specialist. Let's see. I think Duncan's has more immediate usefulness that complements my character. I'm trying to think of how much I'll use the Red Samurai. Part of me, like, he might feel kind of redundant as a melee character compared to mine, whereas Duncan has nice crowd control abilities that proved very helpful last round. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just get this started. Misdirection. Central Hong Kong spills out along Victoria Harbor, all glittering chrome and neon flash against the night's darkness. The skyscrapers are a jagged nest of mirrored knives thrust into the sky, rendering the clouds as they ascend into the heavens. The Ares Asia Holdings complex squats menacingly over Chicada Road, a steel and concrete tumor intertwined with nearby buildings in a web of sky bridges and shared parking structures. You make your way inside and ascend to the 5th floor, a public foyer that connects the restricted areas of the complex. As the elevator opens, you arrive in cold, dimly lit reception area. Beyond that, your quarry awaits. I'm actually getting sore. I might have to stop. Hey, shaman dude. I mean, monk dude. What am I talking about? I'm an idiot. Alright, let's just ignore that. I don't have a need to swap anything out of my character. I'm gonna have to make some money so I can buy the skills that I now have access to. Alright, so this is... I'm gonna say this is probably, unfortunately, a whole episode of setup. Exiting the Ares Asia Holdings elevator on the 5th floor of the skyscraper complex, the antiseptic odor of the megacorporation's offices assail your nostrils. The immaculately detailed interior speaks volumes of the wealth and control of the Northern America industrial giant has come to wield over the free enterprise zone. Isabelle taps your side and gestures towards her comlink. It's displaying a rough and unlabeled schematic of the building. Looks like we're looking for a lab between floor 15 and 40. Most of that area is security research facilities and equipment stress testing. So everything we're looking for will be near the main lab. Isabelle doesn't bother looking up from her comlink as she speaks. We still need to plant the visitor data and find out which specific floor the lab is on. We should be able to do that from down here in the lobby. Alright, so we're gonna do some corporate espionage and find our way into a research laser. Hey look! A little place that makes it easier to spellcast as a certain someone. Alright guys, I think I'm gonna cut it because I'm actually starting to get worn out by all the talking. In all honesty, I'm actually quite happy that the next thing I'm planning on recording tonight is Until Dawn, because that involves a lot of watching other people talk and then chirping and just sort of quipping in every now and then, and I could actually use the break. So thanks for watching, guys, like always. And next episode we're gonna start and see how far we can make it in about an hour in the mission Misdirection. See you guys next time. Already said that probably. I'm bad at this. I'm tired. Thanks for watching.